now. You know, it's to go with climate change as well. The temperature of the oceans warming up and doesn't help the corals, but it's still beautiful. It's not as beautiful, so we need to act now to make sure that we're fixing this, because it would be such a loss. It really would. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Is COVID-19 under control in respective countries? India is slowly bringing it under control. The phase 2, the wave 2.
Live now and
pardon?
We are live now, and like we are starting.
We are live now.
Couple of minutes will start the session.
We have 3 more minutes.
Right, sir.
Yeah, the participants already are getting through another platform. They're getting.
Correct, sir.
Yeah. Any idea how many have already joined?
Sir, we've got around 800 registrations. So we are having a big turn-up.
Yeah, it's very good. I wasn't there.
Actually, this is the most promoted session, I feel.
Yes, and I was there at the inaugural function just now. I came out of that. It's a very nice program.
Right.
So we've got 3 minutes more.
Right, sir.
How about Thailand? Is the pandemic under control now in Thailand?
Is it under control, Chatri, the COVID-19?
We're still waiting for more vaccine.
Okay.
Yes, is it only about 10% who has vaccinated now?
Okay.
So we need to still work from home.
Okay. Yeah, India, we have so far had about 420 million vaccination done, but that is only about both the vaccines, both the doses together. That will just be covering only about 20% of the population from 18 years and above. And we got to do nearly a billion to cover all above 18 years. That'll be a billion. And I said we are just around 420, including both the doses. That means effectively we are covered around 22%.
Okay. But how about supply? Do you have enough supply of jabs? Do you have enough? Do you have enough supply of vaccines?
Yes, fortunately there are two vaccines which are manufactured in India, and that's called the Covaxin, and the other one is Covishield. Covishield is very close to the AstraZeneca one, which is also made in UK. So 2 are manufactured here. We get also some of the other vaccines, including Pfizer, including Russian Sputnik. So because India would require, as I said, around 1.8 billion vaccines to be done for both the doses together. So around 940 million is the, I said a billion, 940 million is the population above 18 years and above. 18 years and above that. So it's a very big number. So, yes. But I think on date, India must be having the largest vaccination so far. And I said around 420 million vaccination is the highest so far done. But that's not enough. The country's population needs more. What about Hong Kong? Everybody must be vaccinated?
No. Only about maybe 30 to 40% only.
30, but that's good. 40% is good.
Yeah, we have a lot of supplies, but the problem is, especially those young guys. I don't know why they don't want to go to take the jab. That is the problem. Is it the same with Australia?
Yeah, we're 10% only, and running out of vaccines. We're in lockdown again in Sydney here. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. We are starting the session.
Yes, 11:15. We should start. So Pratik, get the thing started before I take over.
Right, sir. A very good morning to everyone. On behalf of GreenPro Eco Label, I, Pratik Khanna, welcome you all to the 5th edition of GreenPro Summit 2021. The topic of this session is Unlocking Opportunities for Green Trade in Asia Pacific. To proceed further, let me just share my screen once.
Got it?
In starting, I would like to thank all the supporters, all the Platinum and associate sponsors for making this session possible for us. Then, to proceed further, I would like to welcome Mr. V. Suresh, Chairman, Indian Green Building Council. Mr. V. Suresh is the Chairman of Indian Green Building Council. He's a civil engineer with 54 years of professional experience in the housing, infrastructure, rural and urban experience development, real estate development, and built environment sectors, leading to sustainable development. He has served HUDCO in various capacities and was its CMD. He's the Vice Chairman, National Building Code of India, and Chairman, Housing Sectional Committee and member, Smart Cities Committee of Bureau of Indian Standards. He's working closely with good urban governance initiatives for meeting the challenges of urbanization and making smart, green, and vibrant cities through work on Municipalika. Mr. V. Suresh, we welcome you to the 5th GreenPro Summit and would request you to kindly enlighten us with today's opening remarks.
Thank you, Pratik. Thank you, Pratik. I hope you're audible. I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. First of all, my warm greetings to my dear colleagues from different parts of the world, and in particular, Dr. Carrie Chan, who is the Executive Director of Hong Kong Green Building Council, and more importantly, Chairman of the APN Network of the World Green Building Council from Hong Kong, and Dr. Chatri Furat, who is the Acting Director of Green Label and Eco Label Division of Thailand Environment Institute from Bangkok, joining us, and also Dr. Michelle Thomas, Chief Executive Officer of GECA, and from Sydney she's joining. So we can't be saying good morning to her. It's actually good evening. We got to tell after they are all time zones in different portions there. Good day to everybody. And I think we have a wonderful session today after the good inaugural session with the excellent participation of 800 delegates from different parts for the GreenPro Summit, the 5th edition of it, on the most important theme that we have a green products, materials, and technologies. And most importantly, the theme is sustainable production and consumption is the larger theme for this particular initiative. And under that, we have a large number of sessions. This is the first session after the inaugural one. We are covering unlocking opportunities of green trade in the Asia Pacific region. And therefore, building construction is an important area of activity in all countries, and more so in developing countries like India, where construction activity plays a very, very important for the large population, the housing needs, the office construction, hospital, hotels, schools, factories, other buildings, IT parks, all the type of construction, very large requirement, more than contribute about 10% of India's GDP. And therefore, building materials are about 70% of the component of the construction in our part of the country. And they play a very, very important role. And roughly 250 building materials are there of various classes on structural, non-structural, finishes, and services. All these put together, combined together, is what is contributing to this particular sector in a very large way. As all of us are aware, the Indian Green Building Council under the CIA is a 20-year-old organization, 21st year we are, and with rating systems covering all asset classes of building, namely the residential to the commercial, to the office, to the IT parks, to healthcare, to hospitality, retail, hotels, factories, what have you. Every aspect is covered, and we have 29 rating systems to cover different asset classes of the building. And we also expanded, not leaving only at building level. We have gone from green building after in the first initial 10 years, we did only that, but we expanded to green built environment, covering a series of building with the infrastructure around that. So that took us to a layout, that took us to a campus, that took us to a neighborhood, that also took to the green cities rating. I'm very happy that our green cities rating for entirely greenfield projects and brownfield projects, existing cities to be upgraded and new cities to be developed. We have the rating available. I'm happy that Australian Green Building Council also has got the green cities rating now. India has got that. We also have, along with that, the mobility component of the metros, railway stations, and airport. So we have the green building, green built environment, and all the mobility component, which is covered under the green metro, green railway stations, as well as green airports, also covered. So as a result of all these put together in the last 20 years, India has done reasonably well with over 7.8 billion, 86 billion square feet of green footprint as on date, with over 6,000 odd projects covering different asset class of building and cities and township. And then as a result of the initiatives that we have done, we are aspiring to become 10 billion square feet by 2022. India becomes 75 years of independence. And our GreenPro rating on all the building materials, which is very, very important component, because these are the building blocks that get into the green building in a large way. And even though it's 5 years old, the initiative of under the CII, it has done phenomenally well. Over 1,600 products from about 150 manufacturers are already part of the GreenPro movement, and extremely popular. And the green building promoters also are contributing the use of the green building products, GreenPro products, also in a very large way. And I'm very happy that this GreenPro Summit is primarily organized to deal with the sustainable production consumption requirement world over, and the larger issue of the green, along with the virtual summit of green products, materials, and technologies. I'm very happy that today's session will be very useful. We'll get good experience coming from Hong Kong, and not only that, the Asia Pacific region, the chairman, Dr. Carrie Chan, will himself give that. Then also from Thailand, we'll be able to hear. Also from Australia, we'll be able to hear. We are not able to get the speaker from Singapore Green Building Council. He was supposed to speak. He could not make it, but it's good enough. We'll have a very good flair of it. And after the opening remarks going to be by Dr. Carrie Chan, there'll be presentation coming from Dr. Chatripurat as well as Ms. Michelle Thomas. Then we can have quite an amount of interactive discussions coming among us, and some Q&A from people who might be raising some questions as well. With this agenda, let me have the pleasure of introducing engineer Dr. Carrie Chan. JP is a professional engineer and is currently the executive director of the Hong Kong Green Building Council, with the vision of driving the green building agenda for Hong Kong. Carrie is regarded as an expert on building energy efficiency by the industry. Can you have his correct? Industry. He pioneered knowledge-based energy management in Hong Kong way back in late 90s, using existing buildings as living laboratories. Carrie has carried out a lot of researches relating to the enhancement of building energy efficiency. Up to now, Carrie has published over 25 papers sharing his knowledge with the industry. A number of his work have won international awards, which includes Client of the Year, Low Carbon Operation Award by the Chartered Institution of the Building Services Engineers in 2010. I'm very happy to hear the low carbon, because now we are all working towards the climate change agenda and the decarbonizing effort. So if low carbon work was done way back around 11 years back, it must be really phenomenal, Carrie. Carrie played a key role in establishing Hong Kong Green Building Assessment Tool way back in 1995. That's about 26 years back. Since then, he has been playing a leadership role on sustainable buildings within Hong Kong and abroad. And I would like to congratulate his latest taking over as the chairman of the Asia Pacific network of World Green Building Council as well. So special greetings for that also. Could I now request Dr. Carrie Chan to talk on sustainable products and materials and the opportunities in Asia and Pacific. Carrie, will you please take over?
Yes, thank you for the generous introduction, and a special thanks to Indian Green Building Council for having me here. So let me share my screen first. So can you let me have the share screen?
Yeah, the screen has not come,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Prateek, will you please
the
help?
others, well, because you're using the screen, you need to.
Host have shared the screen. Can you stop sharing, Dhanarasan?
You remove our
Yes.
his CV, yeah. You remove that, then he will be able to put his, right.
Yes,
Okay,
you can
yeah.
share the screen, sir.
Yes, I think it's okay now. Okay, can everyone?
Yeah, very good, very clear.
See the screen.
Absolutely
Okay, thank
clear.
you very much.
Maybe you can put presentation, the left side will
Okay,
go here.
yeah.
Yeah, correct.
All
Perfect.
right. Okay,
Perfect.
thank you. So thank you again for Indian Green Building Council for having me here. So in the next 15 minutes or so, what I will cover is the current challenges that I've seen and I've read, especially those in Hong Kong, what is happening in Hong Kong. And then I will go through and what are the recent changes in our operating environment. And then lastly, I will go into how we should accelerate to a mature, sustainable market in the East Asia, in the Asia Pacific region. Okay, now let's start at what I have observed in Hong Kong. So this is the Hong Kong Green Building Council's building environmental assessment system. We call it the BIM Plus system. Now you can see from here, these are all the various aspects we assess. This is site aspect, material aspect, energy, water, and IEQ, and innovation. So from here, what you can see is that the application on material aspect is particularly low. And if you look at the buildings with the highest rating, that is the platinum rating, again, you can see for material aspect, the application for these credits are very, very low. Now, in Hong Kong, the government has a green procurement policy, and then they have a green specifications. Now, however, because of the supply of green products, they have to split the specification into two parts. One is mandatory, and the other one is desirable. Well, the reason is that they cannot put it into mandatory unless there is enough choices for the various government departments to procure. So up to now, less than half of the products is put into mandatory because there's not most of the product categories. We cannot find enough choices. So that is the situation in Hong Kong. Now, if you look at in Asia Pacific, now these are the labels, the various labels in the Asia Pacific region, and those that is highlighted are the green product labels that is focused on building products. Now, from here you can see there's only 5 in the Asia Pacific region, and you can see the number of products is not a lot. Now, Singapore and Australia has the most number of green product categories. They have about 3,600. Now, but if you look at Hong Kong, Hong Kong has only got 600. And even India, I don't know whether it's correct or not, because I just look at searching through the internet, has about 1,000. So from here, you can see the number of products, green products, is far from enough for the building industry. So this is what I have observed. Now, this is what I have read from one of the conferences, what they call it the possible challenges of green procurement implementation. Now, this is only a summary. I try to summarize it into this. Now, what the challenges that they are seeing is that there's lack of knowledge from the industry, lack of training, lack of awareness, lack of government policies or industry policies, lack of commitment, lack of demand, integration with the projects. So that is how they integrate green procurement with the project management, time, cost, and availability. So these are really the challenges that they identify in the conference. Now you can see if it's rated as important or not important. most of them is related to time. They think that, well, they need to spend a lot of time in order to get the right material, the right choices of material, and also get the approval, and then the cost. So these are really the challenges that they have identified. And I've also looked at the UN's procurement practitioners handbook. Well, they have listed out the main barriers in this handbook. So it's habits and difficulties in changing procurement behaviors, lack of suppliers of sustainable access, suppliers or services, complexity of comparing cost and value for money assessments, the difficulties of including factors broader than environmental consideration. I think this probably maybe aesthetics and other things. And then a perception that the process and outcomes are more costly and time consuming. So I try to summarize all of this into a few key barriers. That is time, cost and value. They cannot, well, put a cost, well, or justify the value or the premium cost for green products. And also lack of availability, lack of choices. And also this is a practices, this is a habits. They cannot change the habits and also the perception. I think these are the 4 points I would like to summarize, having read the publications and also my own experience. Now, next we go to what is happening around us that may affect our operating environment. Urbanization is a well-known trend. Just now, world population, more than 50% is now living in urban areas. And from here, you can see by up to 2050, so you can see a large jump in urbanization. And also for Asia Pacific, they projected by 2050, 60% of the world's urban dwellers will be in the Asia Pacific region. So this is pose an impact. So that is, maybe you can look at it as a positive impact, because it might generate a large demand for green products. Now, I think everyone knows, well, a lot of countries and cities, they are now committed to net zero. Mostly is by 2050. And with that, they are not just looking at operational carbon. They are now looking at the life cycle carbon. Now with the operating carbon, people is getting more and more attention on operating carbon. Then as time goes by, people is now focusing on embodied carbon. Well, when we say embodied carbon, most of them is really talking about materials, okay? Now, if you're looking at the life cycle carbon, for green products, we should not be just looking at building new buildings like concrete, reinforcement bars, these sort of things. Well, we should look at it, the materials that is needed for the lifelong replacement, lifelong refurbishment, and etc. And so this is a whole range of building materials that is required to get green. And then the next thing is getting attention is the increasing demand on corporate risk disclosure. Everyone may be familiar with the TCFD, that is a climate related risk. Now it is now becoming more and more popular, well, for for accountants, well, to disclose the risk in money terms in the report. Now there are two types of risk. One is transitional risk, and the other one is physical. Transition is more on how the economy is transferring from traditional economy into a low carbon economy. So we are talking about policies, legal things, market reputation, etc. And the physical risk is really talking about damages. Now, what this creates, is that the opportunities for products and services. So in fact, this will then create an opportunity for green products or products that may help to reduce the risk of climate change. So this will all be coming popular, and in Hong Kong, it's still voluntary, but lots and lots of large developers and organizations, they are now reporting this and also trying to work with consultants to carry out this risk assessment. So this again will pose an opportunity for a demand for green products. And the other things that is changing is the green finance is booming. I think the same with India, Hong Kong as well. Hong Kong is trying to be the hub for green financing. So you can see the rapid increase in issuing of, say, green bonds and other green finance instruments. So this, as this Mr. Hong, Ms. Hong said, the green finance can only go upward and onward. So what this will create is that, first of all, investment for new technologies, new products. So that is the one end of it. The other end of it is because a lot of projects, because they need to demonstrate the green potentials of their projects, then they will need to purchase a lot of green products. So again, so this will be on the supply side and demand side, there will be a positive impact for the market. And the other one, probably a lot of you may not be familiar with, is the true cost accounting. So this true cost accounting originated, I think, is from Holland, that university, and is now getting very popular now. Is try to put into money terms all the environmental impacts instead of just the construction cost. This is the cost for all the environmental damages or the cost for recovering those damages. So this will again put a value for efforts and also premium costs for green products. So from what I have just mentioned before, so these are the three things that I've talked about. Now, first of all, is that we all see that there's an inactive green product market. We have a low, we are low in both the supply and demand side for green products. And also the barriers is the time, cost and value, availability and choices, the habit and perception. And the changing environment is urbanization, carbon neutrality, embodied carbon, risk disclosure, green finance, and true cost accounting. So these are really what I've just discussed before. So what should we be doing in order to build up a mature, more mature, sustainable product market in Asia Pacific? So I hope we can all get our acts together and say, for instance, like the government policies, which is very, very important, is to take the lead in building up the demand for green products. So that is in all the procurements by the government, well, they should adopt green procurement and set up a demand for green products. And then is this support green building labeling system. In Hong Kong, we are very fortunate that the government is providing incentive for buildings that go for our green building assessments. So therefore, if we increase the weighting of green products here, so it can have an impact on the supply of on the demand of green products. And then to establish a green product specification. So that means when we talk about green products, we are talking about the same, more or less the same definitions. And also the mandatory environmental risk assessment and disclosure. As I said earlier, so this risk assessment and disclosure can really bring out the true value and also the premium cost, justify the premium cost for the green building materials. And then the industry, what the industry should do is that to increase the weighting of credits in the green building labeling systems like LEED and Green Mark, etc. And then try to mainstream the green procurement policies and practices. So at the moment in Hong Kong, even though a lot of companies, they want to go for green procurement, but however, the biggest challenge is the lack of choices. So therefore, if we can mainstream the green procurement policies and practices, that may probably attract more supply of green products. And the development of a natural capital accounting system that can break out and make more transparent really the true cost for green products. And then for the Asia Pacific network, what we can do together may probably is develop a common core criteria for green product labeling systems. Well, every country may have something different, but however, there may be a common core criteria for green product labeling system. So with that, then it can help with the cross-trading among countries on green products. And then to establish an Asia Pacific Network Green Product Directory. So that will be a good thing to do so that, well, we do not just know what is the supply in the local countries or cities. They know what is the availability of green products in other parts of Asia. And then to promote inter-country green product information exchange and trading. So I think these actions can help us to build up a more mature, sustainable product market in Asia Pacific. Now, in the end, I will try to share with you what Hong Kong is doing. So in Hong Kong, I'm driving for a mature green product market in the past 3 years or so, and I have a feeling that, well, Hong Kong cannot do it alone because, well, Hong Kong do not have any supplies. So I'm always fostering for collaborations with other Asia Pacific countries. Now for Hong Kong, what I have done is for Green Plus. So that is our green building assessment system. We have increased the credits from 23 to 35 numbers of credits that they can get that is related to green product. Now, the other things that we have done is that I have already established an eco product directory. So I do not just include the green building products that they can find in Hong Kong. I include any other green products worldwide. And it's totally free of charge. I do not charge anything for those products that is certified green by other systems. Well, we welcome them to put it into our green product directory. And we have already get some successes in that. Well, once they put into our eco product directory, then they have the interest to having a market in Hong Kong. So far, we have now 600 products list already, just in a few months. So this is very successful. So with that can also foster the exchange of information among Asia Pacific network countries. And the other thing is we have a certification for green products, called CIC Green Product Certifications. Now, what I have tried to do is more strategic targets. Now, because one of the challenges is that they do not have enough choices. So therefore, one of my first priority is to try to get at least 5 products in each product category. So this is my strategies. And then what I have done is that I work with the various trade societies to identify the difficulties and seek solutions. Well, why are you not applying for green products or other green equipment? So I try to work with them to identify, well, to know what the difficulties and then seek solutions together. This is again very successful. With that, then we have already activated a few product lines. And then we know that one of the main reasons is that they do not have enough data to substantiate the green product. So therefore, we recognize the third-party accredited data. For example, is Carbon Care. Carbon Care, they have a lot of applications to certify their carbon emission. So therefore, a lot of products is really registered, reported to Carbon Care, their carbon data. So therefore, we recognize those data instead of having them to go to do another calculations and measurements. And then we waive the fees for the first 5 products in the category. So for the first five products that try to get us our certification, we waive them the fees. So the result is very encouraging. We have over 100 applications since we have this kind of initiatives. And the last one is that we are now talking to the government because the government has a green specifications. So what we are trying to do is to try to see how the green specification can work with our green product certifications. Can we have some mutual recognition? So maybe if they have our certification, if they have our label, that may be deemed to comply with the green specification for the government. So this is still undergoing the dialogue. So that is probably what I want to share. In the last slide is that Bill Gates said that we always overestimate the change that will occur in the next 2 years and underestimate the change that will occur in the next 10. So don't let yourself be lured into inaction. So I think this is what I'm trying to promote is that, well, we see a pressing need for action. And then it is now up to us to ride on our opportunities and tackle the challenges and barriers. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Carrie Chan, for such a comprehensive presentation that you made of not only the existing scenario of the various green products rating system that we have in different parts of the Asia Pacific region, but you gave a very important message that while other things on water, energy, and other things are getting attention, the MA, the material appreciation aspects are not receiving the due attention that it really deserves, has been very strongly brought out by you. And you also try to indicate the nature of challenges that we have for what needs to be done for creating more awareness, more amount of availability of the products, and more amount of issues related to green procurement related issue. How do you really put that as an important component of the agenda? And towards you also really brought in on the issue of the net zero, including not only the embodied energy as well as the operational energy issue. And in building materials, the embodied energy becomes an important component, and therefore the life cycle issue, including end of life and the reuse of the material, is not only completing a building and using it, what happens during its lifetime and whatever the end of that. And even that particular thing we are trying to indicate very rarely looked after by most of the architects or engineers or builders or developers. As long as they bring a product now, they are happy. So it brings in new direction. And you also have indicated a series of initiatives that should be done at the government level to bring in some incentives to be brought in over there, and green procurement one, and also to do some risk assessment from government side. Industry side, you have brought in a very good issue of action to be done by the industry, building metal, including that industry. We should have building metal industry as well as the construction industry. I would like that we broken maybe into two. And thirdly, you also said what can be the APN network to do. That directory was a brilliant idea that we brought into it, and the specifications we brought in again is a very good aspect that we can work on. And I'm sure each of the agenda item will be fine. And I'm happy that you said don't stop with what can be done this year or next year. You got to take it as a long period. I entirely agree with you, because we have a large agenda of 2030 of sustainable development goal to the year 2030, and you have still longer goal of 2050 of the decarbonizing agenda. So therefore, whatever steps that we take now, and that has got to be a long, immediate term, a medium term, and a long-term agenda, so that each one gets prepared. Governments have to get prepared, industry has got to be prepared, as well as the professionals have got to be prepared to deal with that. So we got to get those the builders one more point, which I thought, I'm sure it may come in another one. The specifications normally done by the standards body deal with the properties, but the green parameters are normally not part of the specifications. For example, cement as a product or other steel, various other products there, to bring in all the environmental, ecological dimension, which is normally there in the green label aspects on that. We got to get that. So the standards body of each country also have got to see how we can do that. And then in the specifications of works done by the consultant, architects, engineers in the document, they do for the one, there we should put the requirement of quoting the GreenPro product in addition to whatever be the standards one. Excellent presentation. I really like the way in which you brought it out. You really gave a good agenda of the potential for sustainable products and materials and the opportunity in the Asia Pacific region, including working together. And I think the last sentence was to work together among the APN countries. Thank you very much, Gary, for setting the tone rightly. I'm sure we'll be able to take it forward with the international experience. And the first one to whom I'm going to invite is Dr. Chatri Purat, who is the project manager of Green Label of Thailand, and Dr. Chatri Purat.
Sir, I just need to make a small announcement.
Yeah, what is it?
Yes, actually, I would request all the participants to click on question and answer session for asking their question. They can ask any question.
Okay.
Blue arrow you can see. So all participants can click here and ask questions.
Okay.
You can
Very
direct
good.
it to anyone.
You're inviting the larger general participants, having heard Dr. Carrie Chan, now two more presentations to come over, that they can pose the question. Thank you, Pratik. I'm sure it helps us. So coming back to our session now, Dr. Chatri Purat, she is a researcher with about 7 years work in the chemistry and biopharmaceutical field from the Chulalongkorn University. Can you put her CV on the screen? Can you kindly put her on the screen so that all can see that? You got that? Pratik? Yeah.
Sorry, sir.
Put your CV on the screen if you don't mind.
Yes, just a second.
Please do that. And after education in the Chulalongkorn University, she worked in the pharmaceutical sector, and she has also been working in the Thailand Environment Institute, very important since 2015, nearly about 6.5 years back, as part of Thai Green Label certification, focusing on the building capacity for Thai manufacturers in the sustainable consumption production, certify environment-friendly product, develop environmental and climate-friendly criteria, and institutional strengthening. The institutes which are working are the Thai Industrial Standard Institute. I was just talking in the previous session to Carrie that the Standards Institute become an important component. I'm happy that TISI is associated, the GIZ, and the Global Eco-Labeling Network, GEN, where everybody wants to link with the Global Eco-Labeling Network. And she's also engaged in designing and integrating policy framework, which you also identified as an important area, develop and implement sustainable information system and knowledge transfer. And that's what Dr. Chatri Purat is bringing on the table as the acting director of the Green Label and Eco Label division of the Thailand Environment Institute. Ma'am, could I invite you to kindly make your presentation of the Thailand experience and what is that you would like to offer even for the Asia Pacific region? Please take over.
Thank you, Mr. Suret, for introduction. Let me share my screen.
Sure. Yeah, very clear.
Okay. So thank you for CAI to inviting me to join today. Let me start my presentation entitled of Sustainable Consumption and Production Challenge for International Trade. Globally, prioritizing the sustainable investment as concerned about the climate change and the resulting transition to the green economy. Stimulus program injected into economies around the world to address the COVID-19 pandemic and promote Build Back Better initiatives are accelerating and push toward.
I think your slide has to change.
Sorry.
You're changing the slide.
Oh no, this is the first one, not changed yet.
Okay. Sorry.
So let me continue. To promote the stimulus program of Build Back Better initiative and accelerating the push toward greener, more sustainable industry. So we can build a lot more momentum to seize this opportunity. In my presentation, I will share some information in 5 topics. The first one, let's start. What is sustainable consumption and production? At the Earth Summit held in Rio de Janeiro in 1992, the government of the world recognized that the major cause of the continued deterioration of the global environment is the unsustainable pattern of consumption production, particularly in industrialized countries. To remedy this, Agenda 21 Action Program for Sustainable Development agreed at the Earth Summit called on industrialized countries to take the lead in making the shift toward sustainable consumption and production pattern in SDG goal number 12, which includes sustainable resource management, design for sustainability, cleaner production and resource efficiency, sustainable transportation, eco-label and certification, sustainable procurement, sustainable marketing, sustainable lifestyle, and the waste management. Next one is the importance of making pattern of production, trade, and consumption work together for sustainable development became even more prominent for the global economy. Essentially, sustainable consumption and production present like the two sides of the same coin. The emphasis of sustainable production is on supply side of the equation, focusing on improving environmental performance in the key economic sectors such as agriculture, energy, industry, tourism, and transport. But for sustainable consumption, address the demand side, looking at how the goods and services required to meet basic needs and improve quality of life, which can be delivered in the way that reduces the burden on the Earth's carrying capacity. Sustainable consumption interconnect with sustainable production can be the key to some of the challenges that the world is facing today. It can help balance the social, economy, and environmental goals that international community has set itself in the SDG. Informing this goal, the world community acknowledged the importance of reducing their ecological footprint by changing the way of goods and resources are produced and consumed. In this outset, industry, business, and consumer need to be encouraged to move toward more sustainable pattern of consumption and production. Asian emerging economies are critically important to achievement of the SDG and CO2 emission target because they are in the heart of the most populous and rapidly developing region. Let's see the global sustainable production and sustainability market. Value was $8.3 billion in 2019, and the market is predicted to progress at 20% from 2020 to 2030. Furthermore, the market is predicted to attain a value of $57.8 billion by 2030. The main factor driving the market advance are increasing sustainable production such as low carbon and renewable electricity, rising volatility in energy prices, implementation of favorable government legislation, demand for reducing the operation costs, and soaring utilization of building automation system, including the increasing of awareness of the consumer to sustainable consumption. Let's see in terms of sustainable consumption. The meaning of sustainable consumption to consumer is increasing. From 2007, the consumer sustainable mindset and marketplace have changed over 10 years. Around 80% of consumers truly understanding the connection between the planet and personal health. The third topic is the challenge for trading. The global market for green and sustainable products is $4.79 trillion, growing at compound annual growth rate of 6.2%, as per the report by European Commission in 2017. While the report by the Associated Chamber of Commerce and Industry of India, the market for green products is growing at an exponential rate of 20 to 25% in India. And the expected market size is $40 billion. Let's see on the share of leading destination for India export. The United States was the largest export destination for Indian export in fiscal year of 2020, accounting for nearly 17%, where the United Arab Emirates follow at over 9%. On the other hand, a large portion of Indian export came from China, Hong Kong, and Singapore. Now, shall we see why unlock the trade opportunity with sustainable consumption and production? As the growing of green market, not only domestically but globally, the global material footprint is growing rapidly. Nearly 100 countries are actively adopting the policy and measures to promote SCP globally as follows: the Paris Agreement, EU Green Deal, US Biden Climate Action Plan, Low Carbon Investment, UN Race to Zero, and the SDG goals. So for the first policy that I will show you, the Paris Agreement is the landmark international accord that was adopted by nearly every nation to address the climate action change and the negative impact. It has set the goal to keep global temperature below 2 degrees Celsius. The agreement includes the commitment from all major emitting countries to cut their climate pollution and to strengthen those commitments over the time. For India, by 2030, commit to reduce emission intensity to 35%, increase cumulative electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel energy resources to 40%, and created additional carbon sequestration of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. For the next policy is the EU Green Deal, transforming EU economy for a sustainable future. The European Green Deal is responsible to tackling the climate and environmental related challenge. It is a new growth strategy that aims to transform the EU into the fair and prosperous society with a modern, resource efficiency and competitive economy, where there are no net emission of greenhouse gas in 2050, and where economic growth is decoupled from resource use. Next, Biden Climate Action Plan. The United States is the world's second largest greenhouse gas emitter after China. The announcement came at the White House Earth Day Summit. America has an aggressive for new commitment to fight climate change, cutting the greenhouse gas emission by 50% relative to 2005 levels in less than a decade. With the key goal are net zero carbon emission, 100% of renewable energy, and a million of new jobs by transforming economy with water, transport, energy infrastructure that can help US able to cope with the climate change. Next is the low carbon investment, where the financial sector has the opportunity to play a significant role in the success of the transition to low carbon economy. Investment Promotion Agency, or IPA, in many developing and developed countries have made a low carbon investment a key component of their promotion programs due to the fast-growing opportunities in the business. With accumulated foreign direct investment, or FDI, and the benefit that it can bring in reaching green objectives, attaining technology, creating jobs, and attracting capital. Competition for low carbon investments is fierce. The last example of policy is UN support the Race to Zero campaign, the largest alliance of non-state actors committing to achieve net zero emission before 2050, has published its first annual review of its criteria and the interpretation guide. As net zero commitment proliferate, the refined criteria outline the minimum standard for initiative of business, investor, cities, regions, and university for robust and credible of net zero commitment. So now the last topic, I will give you the short information about Thailand, with its population of 66 million, stand at the heart of Asian Economic Community, a 10 nation of Southeast Asian common market of the 600 million consumers. It had the second largest economy in Southeast Asia with a strong consumer base and having a total buying power of $246 billion. The government of Thailand has been emphasizing in digital development for more than a number of years through its focus on Thailand 4.0 economic model, which seeks to move country past previous economic development model, transforming Thailand into a value-based digital economy. The four main objectives of Thailand 4.0 are economic prosperity, social well-being, raising humanity value, and protecting the environment. In order to drive green market in Thailand, the simple picture, there are four main key driving factors, which are producer, environmental, product or service, the green procurement, and the consumer. The producer who want to get into the green market need to get certified eco-label to guarantee that their product is environmental friendly. When the product can pass the green label requirement, it will present in the list of the government or general consumer can pick to buy. The list of eco-friendly product and service present for general public and the government. This is the example of Green Label Thailand website by the Thailand Environment Ministry, and for the Green Public Procurement, which managed by the Pollution Control Department. Sustainable production in Thailand, focusing on the green industry standard by Ministry of Industry, with the target set up to 100% of our industry must get verified the green industry by 2027. Reaching this target can result in CO2 emission reduction at 2.3 million tons CO2 equivalent. The mechanism to push the industry to reach this goal can start from develop innovation using the smart and clean technology, give funding, award, or incentive to the company that implement green industry. Capacity building by green industry knowledge sharing to both public and private sector. Then encourage the new business model to apply for eco-label certification and encourage both public and private sector to implement the green procurement. In summary, the sustainable consumption and production present an opportunity of the business-led solution and technology to be developed and implemented to address the world's biggest sustainable development challenge. By adopting the green practice, we'll meet the region's wider environmental, social, and governance ambition, and in turn deliver societal benefits such as preservation of the Earth's natural ecosystem and social inclusivity, and in themselves that also underpin increased growth. By unlocking the green economy, the economic growth of a wide range of sectors in the region would immediately follow. So I hope my sharing today will be benefit to you all more or less. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation that you could bring on, Dr. Chatri Purat. Very interesting one. You really covered in a very analytical manner, one after another. And I liked your whole presentation on sustainable consumption and the production issues and how you are very keen to really reduce the, you brought in all the 17 sustainable development goals, 9 out of the 17 covering 1, 2, 5, 6, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, you are covered in minute detail, or more so sustainable consumption and production issue you are opened out into a very large way. And the reduction of the waste and the also the circular economy component you have projected in a very large way. And I'm very happy that you have really brought in the whole issue of the messages which have come from the EU side, the Biden side, the low carbon initiative, and also raise to the zero level, what all action need to be done in a very large way. And I think the larger component that messages come I like is that it has got not only environmental impact, but also a social impact. And that's important because quite often there's a fear when you get into a low carbon economy to a very large way, can it create a major problem in developing countries, large population? So therefore, I'm happy that the environmental impact, the social impact aspect you brought in two major components. I like that particular thing, but there are feeling that that need not be a worry. Even then you get new opportunities for job opportunities coming in that particular area as well. And the race to zero, I like this 24 regions, 708 cities and business participating, and 624 universities. I'm very, very impressed. That's also important on the educational institutions, which can play a phenomenally large amount of role in this particular area. And the whole issue of the increasing that happening on sustainable green products, how the perceptions are undergone a phenomenal change in the last from 2007 to 2020 on the meaning of sustainable and the nature of products that we come into the sector, equally important. And I liked in your slide number 19, one of the most important things that you put over there is the center that you put over there, the green market. I like the World Bank logo put there, which means finance can drive. Finance, decision on finance, banks and financial institutions can take a decision on procurement. Once they put conditions on procurement, that can also be a good one. Regulation can be one, but I think finance component is an important one, and you brought it out also as an important area of action now in your own particular country. You're working along with the incentives being given by the bank as well as the financial institutions working also in the sector into a very large way. And the last one I like, we always think that people, planet and profit are the major thing, but I like people, planet being put, but profit you opened out in a little larger way to cover the partners, dignity, justice, as well as the partnership related thing. Therefore, you opened out the larger way, and that's an important component in the whole development agenda. I was meaning that the incentive and the SME Bank for financing progress. So that issue is a very important component that you have tried to put across. I also like the standards, laws, and regulations also being brought into an important thing, because I find that in your work you're also partnering with TISI, that is the Thailand Industrial Standard System. But I'm sure if they are able to get this as part of specification, the wish list of Dr. Carrie Chan will be covered, of including that as a green as part of the specification itself. A good one. I think it was a wonderful thing on clean energy, clean technology, and R&D also contribution coming in this particular sector. I think it gave us a real holistic picture on the way in which the whole country is moving forward. I'm sure it'll be a good object lesson for everybody. And I also like the opportunity of the growth coming from the American continent, the European continent, the Asian continent. The size of the market increasing phenomenally, quantum change taking place there. So it's an opportunity how we'll make use of that, especially understanding whatever products are required, etc. But one common message is green product is one. Eco-labeling component on a benchmark, like our GreenPro also becoming part of the eco-labeling. Each one of us coming to the eco-labeling component as a benchmark. Once you come there, I'm sure there'll be meeting point, especially on procurement across countries in a very large way. Thank you, Chatri Puras, for the very positive and comprehensive presentation. I'm sure all would have liked it very much like I have done. And that's time for me to now turn over to go to the easternmost participant from Sydney, Australia, Ms. Michelle Thomas. She is the Chief Executive Officer of the very important thing called the Green Environment Choice Australia. And as you would have seen, that's an important component. The GEC Australia has done 3,600 products that is already brought out in Carrie's presentation also in a very large way. And Michelle joined the Good Environment Choice Australia 2 years ago, bringing with her a passion of creating solutions and offering pathways for business to choose a more sustainable future for the people and the planet. Again, coming back to people and planet. Having worked in fundraising, marketing, and sales industries throughout her career, she has a wealth of experience, business experience, and now uses to drive positive change across the supply chains. Michelle greatly values her abilities to negotiate and collaborate and sees genuine working relationship as crucial to building robust and lasting sustainability strategies. Her own quote is, working together is crucial if you want to implement real circular economy solution on a national global scale. No one person or organization will solve the problems that we are facing today. We need to come together to find solutions and work collectively to drive those solutions forward. I'm sure she was meaning not only for people within Australia, but also Australia and beyond other countries as well, because most of the products are also coming into Australia and some good products coming out of Australia as well. I'm sure Michelle will be able to give the success story of what Global Environment Choice Australia has done with large number of the product application. As I said, while we are still about 1,600, they have done about 3,600. Is a very phenomenal achievement. So let us hear from Ms. Michelle Thomas, Chief Executive Officer of Global Environment Choice Australia. Michelle, kindly take over.
Thank you. Let me get my...
Yeah. Good, we can hear you well.
You can hear me okay. And can you see my screen?
Very well. We can see you well, clear, hear you well.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Suresh, for the introduction, and thank you for the invite to come and talk today. It's I'm really glad to have been given the opportunity to stand here in front of you, literally, not so quite. Today I'm going to talk about unlocking some opportunities for green trade in Australia. And I'll go through some of the general trends in the Australian market for green products. I'll go through some of the initiatives that GECA has used to help increase sustainable procurement, and how Type 1 or life cycle eco-labels can really help improve green trade in Asia Pacific as a whole. Just very quickly, who is GECA? Also known as Good Environmental Choice Australia. We're a small independent not-for-profit eco-labelling and advisory organisation. And what I've heard a lot today, we also try to provide solutions for individuals, organisations and governments to have sustainable consumption and production. Basically, we want to make options for people to make, buy and do better for the people and the environment. Some general trends in the Australian market right now for green products.
Are you loading a presentation? Are you?
Yeah, can you not see the presentation?
No, we have not got it. I think you should share the presentation. That's what I thought.
Sorry, I thought it was already sharing. My apologies. So you've got the first bit without
I understand. I can understand it's there. You are bringing out from that. There you are.
I'm going through it and then I hadn't actually shared it. I do apologize.
Yeah. Good.
You can see now.
Maybe the initial opening sentence or two you can repeat again. With the slides there. It looks nice.
I'll go very back. It was just going through who GECA was. So that's that information.
Yeah.
And then here, I'm just going through some of the themes that are really current right now in Australia and what's happening in Australia in regards to sustainable solutions. I think circular economy is a big theme globally and very much in Australia right now. And it's a real buzz phrase happening in Australia. Last year, Australia implemented a number of bans on the exporting of our waste overseas. So the big question at the moment is really about how Australia is placed to continue building its resource recovery sector now that those exported materials are required to be processed onshore. As you can see in the slide, there are a list of a few examples of federal related policies and government policies that are being undertaken at the moment. There's a strong commitment to Australia's National Waste Policy and Action Plan and Plastics Plan, as well as recycling and product stewardship schemes, which all have underlying policies in that circular economy, which is the top part. Specifically, there's a focus at the moment on managing waste like plastic, paper, glass, tyres, and also there's a lot of new major investments to improve waste data. There are state and territory and local governments that have published many circular economy policies, statements and resource recovery strategies. ANZPAC, which is the Australian, New Zealand and Pacific Islands Plastic Pact. GECA is really lucky to be a founding member of ANZPAC. That's a collaborative solution that brings together many key players with a shared vision of a circular economy for plastic. And ANZPAC is part of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation's Global Plastic Pact, with pacts in Africa, Europe, Latin America, and North America. The Australian Government Sustainable Procurement Guide, which is a real, I'll go into a little bit more depth later, has an increased focus on recycled content in products. And the right to repair movement, which is currently in full swing, both internationally and here in Australia, although we do believe that there is a lot more work needed in the right to repair section, and we're hoping to sort of help collaborate on this. The right to repair is critical to a circular economy and to sustainable procurement, and GECA considers this to be a really key area for advocacy. If there are correct policies and legislations that support the built environment, companies can use those tools and information and consumers to take products to repair shops so that materials and products don't end up in landfill. Embodied carbon has been spoken about a lot today and is really important right now with climate change action. Currently, attention is being drawn to the role of embodied carbon in the construction industry. GECA, again, is really lucky to be part of a founding member of an organisation called METCA, which is driven by WWF, World Wildlife Foundation, and a government initiative. And it's the Materials and Embodied Carbon Leaders Alliance. So one of the initiatives are that they're evaluating current impacts and identifying benchmarks for embodied carbon in materials, infrastructure, projects and buildings. Another key focus in Australia at the moment is biodiversity and building products after the awful fires that we had here nearly 2 years ago now. It's a real key agenda for us to build back better. And a year and a half ago, Australia also, you spoke, Suresh, about social impacts, but we also implemented the modern slavery legislation here in Australia. So it's not just all about government. There are industries and businesses that are also making change and trying to close the loop. We've got CSIRO that are developing a roadmap, or have developed a roadmap, to help Australia recycle and reduce materials such as plastic, paper, glass and tyres. And you mentioned the Green Building Council, who is very influential here in Australia, and a lot of sort of built environment work to get recognition from the Green Building Council and their Green Star rating. They've also been undertaking a lot of work about how to implement more circularity into their Green Star program. I'd like to just go through some of the initiatives of how I think we're contributing at GECA, helping to increase sustainable procurement. These are a few of the services that we offer here at GECA. Type 1 eco-labelling or life cycle eco-labelling, which we've spoken about a lot today, which is multi-level, multi-criteria that looks at many levels of sustainability impacts and hotspots. Type 3, which are your environmental product declarations, new life cycle assessments, are a really good way for businesses to start looking into sustainable procurement and gaining that data so that they can benchmark and create sort of goals to embed more sustainable practices into their businesses. We create our own standards. We support businesses with claims that are making making claims and can verify those claims to be accurate, to try and avoid greenwashing. We provide consulting and advisory services to support and help organisations that are going through that sustainable pathway and wanting to put more sustainable procurement practices into their policies. We also have a sustainable product database which lists the products that are GECA certified. GECA was also really lucky to have been able to contribute to the ISO 20400, the International Organization of Standardization's procurement guide. This too is a fantastic tool for businesses that are looking for embedding better and more sustainable procurement policies within their business and into industry. Some examples of how we can influence businesses and how we can help government to make better choices. We frequently or often try to work with local council and federal departments to provide presentations on how to embed better sustainable practices and more sustainable procurement policies into their policies. At GECA, we are contributing by writing articles around what it means to look towards more sustainable practices and procurement and consumption, again, trying to aid that circular economy. Our team have pulled out some of the information in our standards, actually, that relate to circular economy for a resource that can be helpful for procurement, both business to business and public procurement. We are continually always looking for partnership opportunities in this space. Collaboration is key. I know we hear that all the time, but I don't think that we could make anything happen unless we work together and work towards a solution that we are all wanting to get. The right to repair, which I spoke about earlier. We've also made submissions around the right to repair movement, and whilst I talk a lot about circular economy, which does include most sustainability aspects, when looking at the life cycle of a product or a service or a material or a building, it's really important to recognise that there are some sustainability matters, such as the social sustainability or other environmental components that are not necessarily encompassed. Just a couple of examples of partnerships and collaborations that we are involved in at the moment at GECA. Earlier this year, the Australian government awarded a grant to Edge Environment in collaboration with GECA and another organisation called the Global Product Stewardship Council to solve the issue of commercial furniture going to landfill. It's actually estimated that it's 30,000 tonnes of furniture will end up in Australia's waste stream every year. We were also successful with funding from the Australian government to undertake a separate project within the Australian Furniture Association, which looks at chemicals management. And whilst this project is aimed at looking at how to reduce and eliminate chemicals of concern in manufacturing, the fact that there is a shift in policy and attention around waste means that we're looking at progression towards more sustainable practices that will affect industrial chemical use as well. We're always looking at ways to promote the multi-criteria life cycle eco-labels. We at GECA have a recycled product standard, and currently the Australian government has been interested as they're looking to develop a recycled content baseline for certain products. And they're setting that baseline into various procurement policies. That's still underway, and luckily our recycled product standard is also up for a review. So we've had an initial conversation with government about including government research into the technical advisory group moving forward. The recycled product standard that we have at GECA specifies minimum quantities of recycled materials by weight, and it restricts treatments and coatings that could, those nasty coatings that might sort of prevent further recycling. So it really is important to embed that circular. I feel like I've been talking a lot about circular economy, but it is really important to embed that circular economy thinking and those circular economy principles into sustainable procurement practices and policies. And I believe, or we believe, that whilst there is such a buzz around that circular economy, we need to recognise that even us at GECA need to continue to learn and also share with other stakeholders about how we can close that loop and support more sustainable practices and procurement practices. The circular economy is all too often considered to just be a waste reduction strategy or a waste problem, but in reality, it really impacts the entire structure that we currently operate in, from design, manufacturing, to consumer demand, and that broader social and environmental issues. A circular economy adopts a regenerative system that embraces maintaining, repairing, reusing, refurbishing and recycling. We did a mapping exercise of our standards to see how criteria in our standard relate to that circular economy. And a lot of our criteria do point to sort of circular economy solutions, such as the design, product information, design for disassembly and separability, so making sure that products at the end of life can be taken apart and recycled, how recycled content is used, ensuring that packaging requirements don't have those nasty chemicals or coatings to prevent recycling at the end of life, what those air emissions are, we talk a lot about emissions, what the chemical inputs are, which is really important, product stewardship, ensuring that there's a solution at the end of the life, recyclability and waste management. The question mark still remains at the moment around that waste management and treatment, and circular economies do try and strive for no waste generation at all, but at the same time we need to understand here in Australia we don't have those facilities just yet to allow for that, so we hope that eco-labels help define those higher benchmarks as a way of getting there. So what else? We're always looking for updates for standards, our standards, to lead the market to more sustainable solutions for production and consumptions, how we can ensure that our standards define new and higher benchmarks, and watching through industry, built environment as well as consumer industry is how the market is changing, and ensuring that we sort of follow that industry lead. And although I mentioned GECA standards, it's really all life cycle eco-labels that have that similar positive sustainability factor that help improve green trade and can help improve green trade and sort of transparency in that APAC region. Life cycle eco-labels can improve that green trade because they have that independent certification. They're looking at similar sustainability factors. They set us apart from other labels by taking into account that entire life cycle and multi-criteria approach. Trusted eco-labels, I believe, can really help procurement specialists understand that a product or a service has been assessed to meet those specific sustainability criteria. And giving that option for the Asia Pacific region to have a real understanding of sustainable products to look out for. We've spoken a lot about GEN, the Global Eco-Labelling Network today. GECA is also a member of GEN along with GreenPro and Green Label. And it's a really great way to increase green trade within the Asia Pacific counterparts. Our connections with Singapore, India, Japan, Hong Kong, China, all mean that we can fast track standards, we can share sustainability updates and information. And like Dr. Kerry said, it would be really fantastic to have a common core criteria across that region, across this region, so that we all have that real consistency and sustainability, and we are all aiming for the same goals. I think with the eco-labels, we know that products and services that sort of display these logos are reputable green trade options and not just greenwashing. Just finally, the United Nations Forum on Sustainability Standards is a platform that's been created to analyse voluntary sustainability standards. It's a great resource, I believe, for sustainable procurement, specifically if you head towards Chapter 3, which delves deeper into potential integration of voluntary standards into different trade agreements, how they're added into free trade agreements and how they can be included in those generalised system preferences schemes. And then followed by analysis of how voluntary standards can be used as an instrument for market access regulation. There are 3 ways they said that a government can use voluntary standards as an instrument for export promotion, which were conditionality, financial incentives, which is obviously a big contributing factor, and capacity building. That's me. Again, thank you very much for allowing me to talk to you, and I hope that the information was great for you.
Thank you, Michelle, for the very comprehensive presentation. You brought in so many interesting new dimensions that you brought in over there, and I liked the whole thing on the circular economy related initiatives that you have been able to get that with the national waste policy brought in over there, including the product stewardship 2011, and most importantly, Australian government's procurement policy document that you brought in over, and along with the issues on the embodied energy and also the biodiversity cover, even fire as an important component. Very interestingly, you brought it out. And the discussion paper covering also plastic and various other related waste, and the life cycle component being brought as an important area, and including standards work in a very large way. And I'm very happy that it covers not the LCA component, life cycle assessment, the EPD, end of the product design life area, to cover the whole segment is a phenomenal thing. And most importantly, your significant contribution for JCA's contribution to ISO 240-400 on the global procurement guideline document is a very, very major one. We are ourselves using that particular one in a very large way, and your substantial work on dissemination and getting policy advocacy related one to a large one. Even though right to repair, I couldn't understand a little more in detail, but the last slide brought that into a very large one. Large area, and the life cycle eco labeling is phenomenal. I think that's going to be your bestseller. But that's going to be backed up with good auditing and assurance. The 2 words that you brought in, it has got auditing being done, assurance also being given done is an important component, and your own approach to recycled content baseline to be brought in, and that is going to be a document even Commonwealth countries can utilize that, and I like that. And the last one, the voluntary sustainability standards for public procurement one that you brought out as an important document. It's a phenomenal input that has come in that. And I forgot to make a mention of your work on furniture furnishing, because interior is also an important component, and there's been green materials in a very large way, VOC contents and all that comes into the furnishing related materials in a large way. So you really brought in, no wonder, top of the particular thing with 3,600 products, Australia with the GECA. And I like the last one of how GECA becoming a part of GELN, namely the Global Eco Labeling Network. So all your joint work to that. Thank you so much for the outstanding presentation. I'm sure all our participants would have liked it. We are slightly run beyond time, 10 minutes. So I'll make it a faster one. There are 3 questions which have already come over there. The first one, of course, was to Dr. Carrie Chan himself. Of course, primarily they wanted to know what can be the biggest driver for adoption of green products. Gary is there. I'm sure he can. He wanted to leave a little early. I said, kindly wait for your reply. You put some response already of getting that publication. So would you like to open out, sir?
Yeah, the drivers for green products. Now,
yes, sir.
Now I can only look at the situation in Hong Kong. Now, in Hong Kong, the B plus is really more or less mandatory, having an incentive. Now, having a lot of more credits, I think it can be a big driver for that. We are seeing this happening already. We just increased it for a few months, and we can see there's a lot more products coming to get certified. So I think that is one of the big drivers. And so I think for other countries, if your assessment system is already got incentives by the government or mandatory, I think it's very effective to put more credits, put more weightage into green products, green procurement policies. And the other drivers is that a lot of organizations is trying to get into, say, Dow Jones Sustainable Index, Hang Seng Sustainable Index, and they must, more or less, they must say that they have a green procurement policies. Now, but however, because of the lack of products, they cannot implement their policies very thoroughly. So therefore, again, it's a chicken and egg. I think if we have enough product choices, I think it can go very fast. Well, because they have a lot of drivers driving it, and in Hong Kong, is now mandatory to produce their ESG report. So therefore, in the ESG report, they're running out of things to say. So green procurement must be one of the things that they have to put in. So what follow is that they need to report, how many green products in terms of value or numbers or this sort of thing. So I think these are really the drivers, and the other drivers, as I said earlier, is green finance. Now in Hong Kong, a lot of developers, they are really getting money, not just for building new green buildings, but also I don't know whether it's popular in India or not. The developer or organization, they apply for an open-ended green finance. Okay, they get this funding first, and then whenever they have any refurbishment where they can claim for better green performance, then they will use that funding. So again, that will drive for green products during the renovation, retrofitting phase of buildings. So these are the things that
you've given a wonderful suggestion on bringing out the directory in your presentation, and I think that will do a whole Asia Pacific region if you're able to get a green product directory with the various types of labeling in the country, which you also brought out in your slides there. I mean, that will be a very major useful information that can help all our countries in the Asia Pacific region, the directory component. Would that cover all material component, or do you have some ideas on that to develop, or is it still work in progress, that idea?
Yeah, I think definitely, because especially for Hong Kong, we do not have any green manufacturing in Hong Kong, so we need to rely on other countries. So therefore, we put all the green products that we find, we will approach them and then see their interest in putting it in. We have already got a few cases where they, after putting in, and then they apply for our labeling. So I think that is the first step. If we can amplify it, if we can put it as
a brilliant idea. I liked it very much for the whole country's AP region. Possibly you can utilize Michelle's idea of recycle content baseline to be brought in, life cycle eco-labeling component you brought in. If you can print those things in the directory of products, what are all the innovative products, the green financing component you brought through banks, etc. I'm sure it will go a long way. Good, sir. Thank you very much. We'll work on it. So, Chatri, you have a question how government of Thailand is helping users to undertake sustainable procurement on a bigger scale. So that's a question to you. It's a little challenging. I would like you to reply that the way in your own style. Chatri, you're there? That's a nice question for you.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. For my perspective, as I present in my slide, the mechanism of the pushing the green market in Thailand, there will need the cooperation between the consumer and the producer, and also the main of the purchaser is the government, which is the biggest value of the purchasing. The government need to have to push the policy into the mandatory first. So for this is for Thailand, because of the of some government agency, they will choose for the cheaper product first, not think about the environmental friendly product. So they need to push into the mandatory. Then there will be the system of green purchasing follow, like the capacity building or sharing knowledge or something like this. Then this will be the first start for Thailand. And also the producer.
And the capacity building, you're working with the building construction industry, builders and the professionals, or who are at what level are you giving the capacity building?
Sorry?
At what level? At what level?
What level? Okay. We can start from the policy maker.
Okay.
So yes, if the policy maker understand what they will bring or what the result of this policy, so they can transfer the knowledge to the under responsibility person to understand. So they need to have the policy start first.
Okay, good. I think if you're able, the demand side, namely builders, developers, and the architects, if you can create capacities there, once they decide, the whole thing will move in a very faster way. I'm sure you'll have some plans for that, I'm sure.
Yes, for demand side, like the supporter, like the certification body, can give the information of sustainable production also.
Okay, good. Thank you. I think to Michelle, there are 3 areas coming. I think there seems a lot of interest that has been brought out because of the wonderful work. Not only you initiated the Green Procurement Guide component, also made it part of the ISO document, and therefore, what is that you can do to give for the Asia Pacific country one? And there are 3 questions for you. I can answer 1, 2, 3. And how you can make that as a wonderful document which has come from Australia for the Asia Pacific countries to utilize, because green procurement is an important component, number 1. Number 2, you may like to open out a little more on the recycled content, on the circular economy. You brought in so much of detail on that, especially the recycled content, the baseline to be done, and that document you're working already, how you can make it as a common document to be done. And the life cycle eco-labeling is a good winner, I'm sure. Everybody would like to have, as long as I know, this is the life cycle labeling at the bottom of the product there. So these 3 areas to work out, I'm sure, Michelle, with the wonderful background, you can do that. And maybe the 4th one you can add is with the UNFSS, the voluntary sustainability standards component for public procurement. Maybe the first and the second one, procurement, and this last will be together. Maybe you can answer these 3 very briefly.
I can answer them very briefly. I can try. Yeah, so the ISO document is publicly available, and I think it's a fantastic document for businesses to use and to include in public procurement. You know, you really need to have many policies when you're looking into public procurement, but I think it gives you a real clear and easy guide on some ideas on what to use. You don't, you know, we can't expect everybody to make a change tomorrow. It's about making those small steps and making those small changes quickly. The recycled content, we haven't quite decided, or the government hasn't yet decided on the baseline amount. We're working through it. So they've basically decided that they want to add recycled content into all of their procurement policies. So we've been able to start that journey with them very much at the beginning, and we are hoping to take it to sort of advisory groups to see what is actually able. Our own recycled content standard that we have has really high criteria. For example, I think plastic is 90%, glass is perhaps 95% or 100%. So it's a real high level of recycled content required. Whereas the government, again, it's, and a lot of the time for GECA and for what we try and do, it's that pathway to success. It's not sort of getting to the top straight away. It's how we can promote the change. And, you know, what Dr. Carey was saying about, you know, that time, that cost and the availability, it's really important about encouraging people to get onto that ladder and to start that process of sustainable practices. The life cycle eco-labeling, so all of the Gen eco-label organizations follow a life cycle approach where they look at ensuring that components of sort of how the product is, where the raw materials are taken from, how that product is manufactured, and the chemicals or the process of it through the manufacturing process, right through to that end of life. And, you know, I go back to, and I talk a lot about the circular economy, but it's how we're able to close the loop. And I think going back to your recycled comment, or the recycled comment point, you know, it's closing the loop.
You said that we backed up with auditing. Is that auditing only up to the manufacturer level, the process of the manufacture, or even during actual use? Because this is the life cycle labor. So therefore, are you also going to do some auditing during the performance time post application also? But the auditing portion, at what stage is the auditing? Is it production level or even later use level also?
Production, the actual assessment is, the auditing and assessment is done through the manufacturing process. But we require that there are opportunities for the end of life. There are solutions for the end of life. And not only are there the solutions for end of life, but those solutions are available and readily shared with the consumer, or readily shared with the organizations that are using those products. So it's really key to not have, and I think, again, Dr. Carey said about this awareness part, you know, it's really key to ensure that people are aware of the solutions for end of life, or are aware of the sustainable practices that we need to follow. And I think that goes across everything that we're talking about today. It's really about awareness.
It's a brilliant product. It's a brilliant product. Life cycle labeling, eco-labeling is a brilliant product. I mean, if it succeeds, it also means assurance. Assurance means like a guarantee that will stand 10, 15, 20 years without any weathering. You know, that's a very major thing. The company, if they can give that, it's fantastic.
100%, 100%. And that assurance part is, you know, a lot of organizations, there's so much green marketing out there right now. And, you know, it's that assurance that what you're saying is actually true, that is so very
wonderful. Wonderful. I think what we should do is, since Carey, our chairman, is already there, Dr. to his committee of working in this particular area, if you can give all these inputs there as inputs for the Asia Pacific document, each one of these one particular thing, it'll be a great thing, I'm sure. He and his committee, with a very strong group of people in the Asia Pacific of the network of the World Green Building Council, you can take it forward as a document, the directory component, the green financing component, all these new ideas which has come over there in a very big way. And the wonderful initiatives from Thailand has given for the green, and how along with standards body, that's one area where standards body do on their own, but how green labeling can work along with the standards body is another important input that Chatri can bring in. I'm sure all this together will bring in a good amount of input for the APN under leadership of Gary Chan. I think it was a wonderful meeting. We had taken 25 minutes beyond the time that only, even though we had one speaker less than original, but we gave good opportunity to everybody to present their view, good amount of discussion coming. I find even now on the queue, more and more questions are coming. I'm sure we'll send it across to each one of you, get your reply. I want to thank all the three of you for the outstanding presentation, Dr. Gary Chan, Dr. Chatri Purat, as well as Purat, as well as Michelle Thomas for being present for the whole thing and making wonderful contribution to the GreenPro Summit. On behalf of the CII, IGBC, I want to thank you very much for your significant contribution and to make the interesting so lively and fruitful and bring such wonderful pearls of wisdom ideas to take this message forward. It's not an easy area to push through green product in the regular system, which is very conservative. You have to break through that particular thing through strong advocacy required, dissemination required, getting them all the act put together. But I'm sure we'll succeed. But as everybody said, 2030 agenda, SCP agenda of 2030, 12, as well as the 2050 decom, those two agendas will drive the green procurement and the products also in a big way. And on that positive note, let me say thank you very much. And with all your permission, can we close for the meeting? Can we?
Sure,
you want to make some suggestions?
Thank you so much, Suresh sir. And I would like to extend a special thanks to all the speakers as well. Also, I'll request all the delegates that you can also visit the virtual exhibition. There are many stalls there. You can visit there. They have the latest, greenest, and most innovative products and technologies.
Okay. You're given guidance how to see the exhibition. You're given them.
Correct, sir.
Very good.
Thank you, everyone, for attending this session, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you.
ऊपर के खतरे का टेंशन तो दो, अंदर के खतरे से बचाएगा कौन? अंदर का खतरा अधिकतर प्राइमरी फर्मेंट गैस का एमिशन होता है, जो सेहत के लिए हानिकारक है। फर्नीचर बनाए सिर्फ ग्रीन प्लास्टिक जो लाया है इंडिया का पहला जीरो एमिशन प्लाई। जीरो शुरू, खुल के सांस लो। Every living being needs a home, be it a hole in the wall, or one with a swimming pool, be it on a high rise, or in the basement, be it a studio apartment, or a grand piece of art. inside the sea. Every living being needs a home, because only a home makes the world feel safer. This Environment Day, renewing our commitment to keep all homes safe, clean and green, and abundant with fresh oxygen.